There's something about receiving car parts in the mail. I don't know what it is, but it's super addictive, and I get anxiety if I don't have a package showing up each week that I know has car parts in it. It's a problem. It's definitely a problem that I have. But anyway, reached out to the guys at GMF, asked them if they wanted to be part of the Ranger Raptor build. They said yes. So they've sent me a bunch of all their goodies that they make for the next gen Raptor. So let's unbox this thing and see what they've sent us. We had a lot of fun yesterday. I have the GMF strut kit here. Rightio, let's see what we got. Oh, Greggy with the hookup, the hoodie hookup, GMF hoodie. How good is that? So GMF Fabrications are a small little Aussie business that make all these brackets, suspension, bull bars and things like that. So what have we got? We have a gas strut kit here for the next gen Raptor. 2 gas struts, nuts and bolts, instructions, all the rest of it. So we've got that to go on. We have some other brackets here. My guess is these are for the antenna or the UHF outside your bonnet. We have the Raptor rail module, so the module that's sitting up underneath the vehicle. This is a full metal bracket to actually cover that. So I've got that as well to protect that. We also have, these are the trailing arm. These are for the trailing arm. So on the trailing arm, you do have little modules on either side. If you look at your Raptor from the back wheel forward on that rear trailing arm, you've got a little module. This is going to protect that module from getting damaged with rocks and things like that. So we've got those to go on. And then we also have, this looks like a fascia plate as well for lights. I'll have to see where that exactly mounts. So yeah, but for switches and things like that. And of course we've got GMF stickers. Do you even buy them for the car parts or do you buy them for the stickers? Well, I don't know if I should be proud of myself or disappointed or ashamed or... So this is the underside of the Raptor. 3,500 Ks on it. She's dirty. It's alright. Ford would be proud. This thing gets used. It gets, I abused the hell out of it yesterday. We had a lot of fun yesterday, put it that way. Coming in my driveway flat out, but yeah, 3,500 Ks. And it's filthy. I suppose the good thing with this Raptor is that I'm really showing you guys that I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I bought this car, back off everything I said, spend my own money on this car. It's definitely getting the hell flogged out of it, but hey, it's what I bought it for. I bought it for this exact reason, to have friggin' a lot of fun. So I'm gonna be going over and grabbing some tools, but essentially this is the little module up here that we're trying to protect. So the cover that GMF make wraps right around and bolts to the front of this section here and protects that. Same on this side, you can see that little suspension, like a position sensor just there. So that's what we're gonna be protecting with that bracket. And then we have, I think it's on this side, we have the computer, the module up there, another module along the chassis rail, so we'll be putting that one on. And then once we get both those installed, then I'll take it back over to my place out of the shed here and we'll do the bonnet brackets and stuff like that over at my joint. Okay, so we have the module bracket just here, so unwrap this. So it looks like we have a zip tie, some instructions. I think the bolts are down there, or it might use existing bolts actually. So that's the bracket there that's going to protect that. So what's included? GMF guard and the zip tie. So these are the trailing arm to protect those sensors that I was mentioning before. So cool little GMF laser cutout, I must say. So they look pretty sweet, and then they also come with the hardware. Your hardware just here, and your instructions as well. Okay, so we're going to be putting on the brackets that are going to cover this sensor up here. So let's get the instructions out. So I've got a trim removal tool here. If you guys don't have some of these are awesome for removing any of the plastic clips inside your interior, or even on the outside when you have plastic guards like this that need the little, what's the names, popped out, the little clips here popped out. If you need to get in between that, you can pop them out. So on my Amazon store, links in the description. If you want to jump on my Amazon store, I have these kits on there if you want to grab one of them for your vehicle. So essentially it says use a trim removal tool to unclip the plastic clips, which are on both sides here. So you got one up the front, and then we have one up the back side here, and they just pop out. So essentially, if you can see that, these trim tools go in between there, then you can pry them out. Or you can even go on the back side. If you get underneath that, you can pry them out, and these won't damage it because they're obviously plastic. So just remove that, and like that's, to be honest, that's not held on very well at all. So remove that. So we have our GMF bracket. Obviously you got GMF on the outside heading forward. So essentially this bracket sits over there just like that. So now it's covering this sensor here from ever being damaged by rocks and that coming up and smacking into it. Gives the front around here a bit more protection as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in there and put our bolts that we have down here in the kit. There's one at the front and these two here on the sides. So we'll put those bolts in now. Okay, so we have our little hardware kit here with our nuts and bolts. So we have our guard, goes around like so. Everything has got good clearance. Okay, so I'm going to use my little magnet that I have here. So if you guys want one of these as well, these are on my Amazon store also with these things. So I'm going to put the washer on the end of the magnet like that, and now I can use this to stick it up inside there. This makes life so much easier when you need to get nuts and bolts in different positions, because you can actually just feed it up and stick it in there, and then put your and then screw in from the other side. So get your washer on your bolt and then bring it back down, put your nut on there, and then put your nut on there, and then screw it from the outside to tighten it up, and then stick your spanner up in there to hold it. These things are absolutely awesome. So yeah, these are also available on my Amazon store. Links in the description. Perfect. Now I can tighten that up. And now I can just get a spanner in there and hold that in place. But that little magnet makes life so much easier, especially when you get into tight places up in there. So I'm using a 13mm for the nuts and a 12mm socket for the bolts. So you can tighten that one first, then come around to this side and pull this side in and tighten these ones here and that side. But she's all tight now. It's pretty much the exact same thing, but on the other side. So I'm going to go ahead now, I'll time lapse that, putting the other side on, and then we'll move forward to the module bracket. See, the front guard comes down a little bit lower there to protect that front arm a bit more, and then you've got all that protection now for that sensor across the side there. Same as on the other side. Alright, so now we've got the this little module here. I'm not too sure what this does exactly, but it's a computer. So I'm going to take this little tinny guard off. You can see the difference, the GMF one versus the stock one. It's going to just shroud that whole thing heaps better. So same scenario, we're just going to pop this here off. So as you can see, these things are awesome. Just pop that off. Just going to rotate that down. Might even put the extension on to get past the so this should, in theory, I'm thinking, have captive nuts on the back side. Didn't hear anything fall down, so that's positive. So that's that little metal bracket there. So that's not, there's not great protection there, like it's better than nothing, but obviously you got this big connector there. But if you hit that hard enough or a stick come up and smack that, you'd be snapping that bad boy there off for sure. So obviously, like, a manufacturer could put a bigger plate here, but when you add up all these things that they need to do, it's going to drive up the cost of the vehicle itself with material, and it's just, yeah, like they can only do so much. So, and it leaves a lot for the aftermarket industry, especially with making such a bigger bracket like this thing to protect the whole thing. This GMF one just leaves opportunities there for the aftermarket industry to make different brackets and things like that, and gives them something to build for the vehicle. Keeps that industry going, which is really, really good. And there's number 4 bolt out. Then we'll get our bracket, and this will go up and around there. Get our bolts, on that up, go straight back in there. Just get them in there rough. Don't ever like tighten one bolt right up until you get the others in, because you may need to shift it over ever so slightly. Nip it up a little bit, and then we just got one more down there at the bottom. We're just going to make sure it's all nice and straight and square and whatnot. So it pretty much sits there, and then you got these 2 little slits here on the bottom of the bracket where this cable here will zip tie to. Zip tie. Actually, I might feed it down from the top, so we'll get through that hole. Then we'll go back up through that hole. Tighten that right up onto that cable there. Okay, so it's not a big deal that this doesn't have gas struts, but a lot nicer with them. So we have the GMF strut kit here. Okay, so we have the instructions here. So basically we're going to do the driver's side first. So there is a tab that we need to bend out of the way slightly for the gas struts to clear. It looks like it's maybe part of the says it's the fender earth connection tab towards the outside of the car using a shifter to increase clearance on the gas strut. So just got to shift that out of the way. My guess is that's just in there for the other Rangers that have the actual second battery option. Okay, so we have this bolt up here. We've got to bend this tab down, and then we've got to loosen this bolt here to be able to sit the bracket in behind that. So we'll go ahead now and get my shifter. We'll bend that out of the way. So I'm just going to bend that around slightly. That should be enough there now. So we'll test it when we put the bracket in. So we have just got to work out which bracket's which. So I'm guessing that is this side, and if I can tell from the picture, looks like this has a little rib in it, so I'm pretty sure that's this side. So essentially the bracket will sit down just like that in the fender. And crack that and get that bracket down there. So it's the one with the slight little taper just here. So that'll slide down between there. I'll try and do a little bit more, like so. That'll go down in there. We'll snip it back up a little bit. Just going to undo our fender bolt just here. Okay, so with the supplied hardware, you're going to put this bolt just down in here as well. And then you've got a replacement for up here on top of the guard, and then you've got a nut that'll go on the back side. So essentially remove the factory bolt out of the guard and then put the new bolt in, and then you'll put the other nut up underneath it. If I can get around the side there, you might see the nut up underneath there. Then you put a nut on the back side, and that'll keep your bracket firmly in place. Okay, so now I've got this other bracket, which is going to go like this. So I've just removed this one. Just going to remove this one here as well for the windscreen washers. And then what we'll do, we'll re-zip tie these to these little slits that are on the outside of the bracket here. So they'll be facing on the outside like that. So this bracket will sit just there, sandwiched between the bonnet and the bracket. And then our strut will mount to just here. And then we'll go ahead and do the other side. So I don't have anyone to help me, so I'm just going to have to do it by myself. Okay, so I've just nipped them back up. So basically what I did is I held the bonnet back here with my hand. You really should have two people here doing this, but I only just had myself here to do it. So really what you should do is have someone holding the bonnet, holding the bracket here as well while you undo it. Then slip your bracket over your nuts, then put the nuts back on and try and line up all the paint lines and stuff so everything goes back straight. And then once you do this, don't just drop your bonnet and close it. Lower your bonnet really slowly. Get your friend to check the gaps to make sure your bonnet hasn't gone out of alignment, because if you just slam your bonnet, you could crease along the side of here if your bonnet's not aligned correctly again. So just want to make sure you guys do that. Do not slam your bonnet once you get these brackets on. Make sure that you've realigned everything perfectly, and you may have to undo it and snig it over a little bit here and there to get your bonnet to line back up perfectly. So now we have our bracket installed, so we can go ahead and put our gas strut on now. And of course there is a thunderstorm only probably half an hour away, so I have to try and get these done. I am undercover here, but I'd rather do it before the storm gets here, but I can hear thunder and stuff out the back there. But we're under the pump, try and get out here before the rain hits. Put one of our struts on now. So we'll go like this, sit our strut there for a second. Then your nut goes on the back side. Tighten that up. Just gonna nip that up now. Sweet. That's done. Now we'll put our bottom one on. We've got 4 here in the packet. And our other one will go down there, and from the picture it looks like it's in the top. Looks like the strut is in the top hole. So yeah, it's in the top hole by the look of it. Should be able to get in behind there and tighten that up. But that one's on. Go ahead, gas strut is on. How good's that? Now go across and we'll do the other side. Get our, what was it, 12 mil, I think, from memory. So we're gonna nip this up. Crack this. These always make me nervous because you hear the paint cracking and stuff. And you definitely don't want your bonnet to slip or move while you do this. So pays to have someone help you. God, this makes me nervous. Yeah, it's like if there's enough paint, if enough paint has got in between the gaps here. Right. One bolt, sorry, one nut, 2 nuts. Come on there. But remember, do not slam your bonnet after you get all this hooked up. Just ease your bonnet down nice and gently. Otherwise you'll be, yeah, you could be having to repair a bonnet in the guard. So that is a very, very snug fit there, Greggy. Very snug fit. You've got about 2 millimeters on the back side, which I'll show you where the bracket is between the back of your bonnet and the back of the bracket. So I've just bent it down a little bit. Give me about 3 mil of clearance now. So I'll have that side here, and this side will be, we'll just have to tweak that up a little bit. So now the weight's being taken on these parts here and not on this thing anymore. So we'll fold that down. So we do have 2 included zip ties, which we will then sit our washer hose, which will then go around there. Just like that. Okay, so we're just going to check the edges. They all look good. That's a super clean fit there on that side. All our body lines look like they match up pretty good. I think we're all on the money. So first time opening it with the gas struts. It's much better than using the old bloody stick thing. So perfect. So you can see the bracket just there for the UHF to mount to. Yeah, so now you can put your aerial just here, and you'll have a little stumpy GME, probably about yay high, just like I've got on the F truck, just like that one on the front. And then when you fold this back, it'll come back and sit about here. It won't touch your window. So the original for the bonnet brackets, so make sure you buy the original ones. Righto, so that's the GMF brackets for the UHF for the rear trailing arms to protect that sensor, and then you've also got the module underneath that big housing to protect that as well. So if you want to know anything more about GMF, down in the description I have links to the website where you guys can buy all that stuff for your Ranger Raptor or just your normal Wild Track, any of your Ranger stuff. They've got suspension, bull bars and all sorts of gear on there, so jump over and check that out. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See yous. GMF. GMF stands for Go More Faster. So in the video I showed you guys the GMF fascia panel for your switches and stuff like that goes down in the center console. So if you want to win this for your next gen Ranger, you need that code word and your name, address, your information. You need to DM that with the code word to the GMF Instagram page. So send that through to them, and then they'll select a winner, and then I'll post you out this sweet GMF bracket for all your switches in the next gen, and I'll also post you out a bunch of F-Tech gear as well. So yeah, get onto it, win yourself this fascia panel from GMF.